Good morning. Welcome to BCB Live, safest station in the nation. Drive safe, Dave. It's freaking getting cold outside, baby.
All over.
Baby, it's cold outside. Come here and give Daddy some loving because it's a little cold.
No, it is getting chilly. And you know what? It's moving in. Winter, old man winter is not giving up.
Now he's an old man.
It's
old
just
man. I thought, what happened to Mother Nature? Doesn't she still control it?
I know, but it's
you just take all the credit. Let me tell you something. The women can vote. They can do a lot of other things too, Drive Active, and they can be still Mother Nature. They can control the weather. Hey, listen, we have some, even here in Texas, it's starting to, that rain is kind of freezing a little bit on the cars right now. So it is icing up on bridges. Be safe, be careful. Watch where you're going. It goes back to that situational awareness, right?
Yeah, you got overpasses, bridges. You got everywhere that is elevated. Any of these elevators, these flyovers, they can be very dangerous at this time, especially with the truck as you go up. As the rain hits, it can freeze if the temperature drops dramatically, and it is dropping dramatically all across this region east of the Rockies, and we should anticipate some bad weather come today.
So here's what we're going to do. As normal, listen, BCB Live, it's about the safety. It's about giving you that information to make safe decisions out there on the road. And even you, the four-wheelers, you as well can be safe, especially maneuvering around the big trucks. We're going to show you the weather and what we see. We have Double Check Dale going to join us a little bit earlier than normal. He'll still be back at 7:30, but he's going to tell you what's happening right now in your area. Coming next in about 30 seconds on BCB Live.
The safest station in the nation.
Hey, good morning. Welcome back to BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. You got Double Check Dale here to talk a little bit about weather because, again, like they said, Mother Nature has reared its ugly head, Father Weather. And here right now, we are looking what we have currently. And so those of you looking at this map, the red is freezing rain, the blue is just going to be rain, and the yellow or the gold color is ice pellets. And so right now we see that it is really starting to kick up into central Texas and move up into the northern North Texas, southern Oklahoma. And as we move this ahead a little bit, we're going to see that it just starts to explode. Central Texas, that 287 corridor is going to be hard to run on. And it just goes up into Oklahoma City and starts to expand over into Arkansas, almost all the way over to Little Rock by 11 a.m. And it just keeps expanding. So by 5 o'clock this afternoon, that freezing ice and rain runs from central Texas all the way up through Oklahoma, northern Arkansas into southern Missouri. So you're going to see that I-44 corridor affected by. You're going to see the I-30 going across, the I-40 affected. So the weather is just really kicking in. And if we go into the overnight hours, it really doesn't get any better anywhere. It's still central Texas all the way up through Oklahoma, northern Arkansas, Missouri. Now it stretches all the way into the Ohio River Valley. So by 2 a.m. tomorrow morning, Cincinnati, Ohio could be seeing some freezing rain. To the south of that, we have quite a few thunderstorms going on and a lot of rain. And this rain event is around for a while. So that's what we got going on in the immediate future. I'll be back at 7:30 to talk more about weather and safety, and we'll take a short break.
welcome back to BCB Live, safest station in the nation. Driver said, Dave, I saw a color there that I hadn't seen in a little while, or ever, I don't think, on the map, and that's this orangish color right here. And as we look at that, as we go through it here and we look at the orange color, we see it kind of hanging out right here tomorrow, right? Here we go. Tomorrow right up here. Dave, tell everybody what that orange is again, or that brownish mustard
those
color.
Are ice pellets. Those are actually the frozen ice pellets that lay around the ground. They're not really freezing rain anymore, and it's not really snow. It's actually little bitty ice rocks everywhere as you drive around. And what tends to happen with those, some of them will melt on the ground, some will stay above, and it forms this weird sheet of frozen ice on the ground. And sometimes we like to see it as cobblestone. Have you ever driven on cobblestone
Never
ice?
have, sir.
Yeah, well,
I'm not an ice road trucker like you are.
Not an ice road trucker,
there, cowboy.
but it'll create some cobblestone effect. You don't want any part of that. That's messed up.
Yeah. So we see this, and it's just, watch it right here, right, Dave? It's going to move up that way right there, and we just want you to be sure that you're looking at the weather where you're going to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not necessarily where you are right now. But if you're going that way, you're going to be into it for a little while as it continues to move. This is Saturday, so it's hanging out with us. If you're going this way, it's going to kind of hang out with you the rest of the week. It's going to follow your path.
Yeah, it's just going to create this wall from the south to the north, or the north to the south, and you're going to be, you're going to be like, I don't know how you're going to. You can go east, you can go west. But if you're going to try to go north or south, you're going to have to cross that line. And I'll tell you right now, not a good idea.
If you run that I-20, you're safe, right? I'm on I-20. I run I-20.
East right now. West of here, at Abilene,
that's true, right?
Sweetwater area, you're going to look at some difficult weather to run into. Absolutely.
Yes, so just make sure you're paying attention. And Dave, one of the things that we talk about when inclement weather comes around is that issue of parking. Right, because parking's already it's tough right now. There's not enough parking during the normal weekend. Now we're in these, the third week, or almost the third out of the fourth week in a row in which that weather's came into play, and we just don't have the parking for the trucks. We saw it now with OIDA, working together with the ATA.
Which rarely work together.
Going to Budovich, Mayor Pete, whatever his name is, saying, hey, listen. Enough's enough. We need that money. We've got to start getting parking. And Dave, this is where we see it when the weather turns bad.
Yeah, everybody's starting to hide and find a safe haven. And when every truck comes off the road and has to park, you start realizing the difficulty no matter where you are. And I've been out in West Texas when ice hits. They stack on stack. They're all over the place. You can't move. Everybody's crowded. It is crazy. And you know what? And it's not just that, right, Rick? This is the tip of the iceberg. It really fundamentally is a problem. Pardon me?
Pardon the pun.
Pardon the pun. It's the tip of the iceberg. It's really a problem all over the country. And you know what? They're really trying to push that bill that was introduced last year. That's $750 billion?
$755 million over the next 5 years, saying, hey, this has got to start, right?
Yeah.
They go back and they talk about the study that Atri did. And we've had Rebecca Brewster and the team on from Atri a couple of times on here. But the study's from 2016, in which they say that drivers on average are surrendering 56 minutes of their day because of the lack of parking.
Wow.
It's an incredible amount, Dave. And when you think about 60, you think about that 56 minutes. Let's just call it an hour, right? Dave, if you take just 60,000 drivers, how many drivers do we have anyway in this country?
1.7 million.
Do we have 1 million?
Yes, sir.
7, exactly, 1.6 million. We just lost one.
1.7 million drivers, but one like I think a bunch of them are but there's about 1.7 million drivers.
All right, so let's just think about this for a second, Dave. If we just took 60,000 of those drivers, 60,000 of that 1 million drivers, and we said, you know what? Let's give them back that hour because of parking. That's 3.4 million miles a day we're driving from a parking. Think about the situation we're in right now, in which everybody and their mama and their daddy says we're 80,000 drivers short. Okay, and it doesn't end there, right? Because it's expected to be at 160,000 by the end of the decade.
That's crazy.
Okay, if you just take 60,000 of our million drivers, 60,000, and give them back a little bit of that day, that 1 hour that they're searching for parking, Dave, that's 17.4 million miles a week. That's a lot. That's ton. If you take the 80,000 drivers we have right now short, and we give them the 6.5 hours that we average a day. Keep in mind we have 11 in a day. If we give them back the 6.4 or 6.5 hours that everybody else is driving, hey Dave, that's 7,841,000 miles we got to make up. And all I'm saying is that little hour, right, for 60,000 drivers, just 6% or whatever of what we have, a very small percent of what we have, that's 904 million miles adding toward that we would gain a year from that parking. 12% of our current driver shortage is wasted on 60,000 drivers not being able to drive for an hour a day.
Absolutely.
Are you hearing me?
Absolutely. I get it. You're saying give back to who we have right now running, and we don't have a driver shortage.
And I'm only taking 60,000.
Yeah, not all of them.
I'm going to ask you to fact check that 1,000,007, which is kind of, that
1.
just tells
7.
me.
1.7.
Well, 1.7.
I'm sorry. I made 1.7, and then there's like a certain number.
1,000,007. Who comes up with that number?
I meant 1.7. I didn't mean a 7 on the end. I meant 1.7.
So that 1.7. I'm only taking 60,000.
Right.
That's 12%.
That's crazy.
That is 12% utilizing only the 60,000 drivers we have. That's 12% of our 80,000 driver shortage.
In other words, if we were better efficient at what we already have, we don't have a driver shortage.
Dave, I'm saying that I'm not even taking into consideration the shippers and receivers that are just eating up the hours,
Absolutely.
right? I'm not talking about the congestion on the road because we've waited too long to fix the highways up.
Right.
Right? We haven't added lanes and construction and traffic, and all we've done is add more vehicles into the mix, right?
Right.
I'm not talking about that.
You're just talking
about parking. I mean, it doesn't even make any sense.
You make your point. You definitely make your point.
Thank you. But you know what? We got to take this point somewhere. I mean, an hour a day, Dave, it's incredible because we know that an hour a day of driving is around 58 miles an hour on average.
Yeah, and it's more than just an hour a day drive. It's finding a place to park, right?
Yeah.
Like,
is there anybody out there right now? And we'll move on here, but here's what I want to know. Are you out there right now? Are you stuck? Are you going through that no drive zone, right? It's iced up and you're like, you know what? I'm going to have to stay where I am. Are you able to find a parking spot? What's it look like out there for you right now? Are you still stuck on the side of the road because there wasn't anything last night? And now, hear me everybody, hear me the United States of America, that this same hero, these same drivers, these same folks that are probably going to be hanging out in Washington before long, listen to me. They were stuck yesterday without restrooms, right? They have no facilities. They don't have showers in these trucks. Some of them don't have refrigerators in the trucks. They were there yesterday, and guess what? If they were unable to find a spot yesterday and they're in this zone, Dave, they're stuck there again today.
Correct. They're correct.
And what are we doing about it? I mean, these are our heroes. How long do we have to talk about this driver shortage, right? We saw what happened when that trucking industry decided to say, hey, you know what, Canada? Oh, Canada, we're going to go see you. And we're going to see the same thing as they move from California across the country to D.C.-ish, right? We don't know if they're going to hit D.C. or not. D.C.'s getting ready for it, though.
Yeah, you know, that's kind of difficult to say because
this may slow them down right here.
Yeah, it's right here. But, you know, you make a great point, and we've talked about trucking parking many, many times.
When's this stop from talking, Dave? When does, you know, we have OIDA and ATA, and you know it's bad when those two team up. Right? Hey, listen to me. When those two are on the same side, they probably have a legitimate reason.
Exactly.
I mean, it's two different groups. It's the owner-operators and it's the large trucking companies.
And they're moving together. And you know what? They're both coming together and putting their arms around each other and going, yeah, we have a problem.
Yes, it's our own NATO, right? It's our own NATO alliance here, talking about something as simple as parking. And Dave, I don't know what happens on this. I mean, we moved the infrastructure through and left that parking to the side again. It just doesn't get talked about outside of the trucking industry.
Yeah, and it loses. It loses a lot of focus. I get it that they trim bills, they cut this, they cut that. When they invest and they go through. And I just don't know how we educate our politicians and our people to understand what's going on.
I mean, we need a song. Songs.
You need a song?
We need a song. Think you write your congressman and tell him to pass a bill that the next time they find somebody parking illegal, don't shoot to kill.
Wow. But
I don't know. But anyway, hey, we're going to keep this on. We're going to keep talking about it. Listen, you know what you can do, Dave?
What?
Let's talk about this. You can, get a hold of your congressman,
Absolutely.
Right? You can do something other than sit back and just bitch. You can actually do something. Dave, what can we do?
Man, I'll tell you what. You can jump online. You can look up really quickly on the US.gov site to see who your congressman is in your zip code, and what it'll do is it'll give you a link to your congressman, and you can write them a quick note. I think by law they're required to respond to you, and they are required to in a certain amount of time to get back to you, but they will get back to you. And you know what? If enough people of their constituents give them the information and wave their hand and say, hey, there's a genuine problem and we care, and are you going to do something about it?
And this is a good time to do it too, right? There's a lot of votes going on, right? We have a lot of seats.
Primaries going on.
They
we got
will
a lot.
listen
yes.
right now. At least act like they're going to listen. This is the time to get your vote.
That's right.
You know what? Before you vote, and it's already started across the country, before you start voting, though, look and see what their thoughts are on our industry.
Correct. That is absolutely correct. And you know what? You can see you can log into their website, and almost every congressman, every senator, and every representative that you see, meet, or talk to, their platform is on their website, which tells what they are for and what they are against and how they decide. Now, you got to read between the lines a lot of the times on what they talk about, but it's very important to know what you're voting for when you vote.
Anybody stuck out there? We got anybody stuck? Anybody sitting on the side, unable to find a parking location at all right now? Raise your hand, send a message, get a hold of our producer in here. We want to hear from you because it's important that we, this country, hear your voice on that. Drive Safe Dave, as we push forward on that. We also have Fleet Owner. Again, we have Fleet Owner, the magazine, as we talk about the 80,000 drivers that are short right now in our industry. 80,000. They ask the question, they pose a question. I think it's a pretty neat report where they say, hey, might that clearinghouse program, okay, that the program that's designed to take those that have drug and alcohol abuse, right, in the vehicles, might it be too successful in lieu of our driver shortage? Dave, what are your thoughts on just the question? They're not saying they're for it. That's the question they ask.
Yeah, anytime you have a restrictive pattern, you're going to lose something, right? Anytime you have a restricted flow, you're going to lose your ability, and I think this does that. But
is it too successful? Might it be a little too strict?
No, I'm not. I don't think it's too. But I mean, you're asking my opinion on that.
No, I did ask your opinion.
It's not too strict.
And as normal, Drive Safe Dave, you run from your thing.
No, it's not too strict.
Thank you.
No, it's not too strict. I did not take a detour around that. I went.
Thank you. Yeah, sometimes you always want to give. It's like that question we asked when somebody said about what do you do when somebody cuts you off, and Dave, and that was so funny because you got a lot of people mad at you from the listening crew when you go, I like to pray for them.
I like to.
I'm like, come on.
It's not like I do.
Who does that?
I like to.
I know you're a man of faith and you're always a prayer guy.
No, it happens.
Sometimes you don't do it.
No, I said I like to. I said I like to.
You gave that, and I remember.
I can't. No, he's straight. You know what?
But I'm going to tell you this. I agree with the clearing. You know what? Most companies, and I think it's every large company, it's probably most companies across this country, they agree that, you know what, there's no room for that driver within that truck right now.
Agreed.
Now, here's the part, Dave, that's a struggle part. If you as a driver, and let me tell you something, if you're doing drugs, you're drinking alcohol, and you're driving, you can't do that.
No.
It's the absolute worst thing you can do.
You're going to kill
and
somebody.
when and if you get busted, right?
Yes.
Random, or you refuse to take it, it's the same thing. I don't know how you get another job, because they talk about that as well, the companies, right? Because Drive Safe Dave, if you're in that clearinghouse and you've done everything you could to clear your name, I'm not sure I'm still going to hire you.
Yeah.
Because of the litigation that goes on around accidents right now that says, you know what, if I hire this guy right now and he gets into an accident, or anybody does, have I just kind of, made light of the value of safety within my company? Meaning that if you done everything right and you go and get an accident, you just hurt somebody. You don't have to kill somebody. It goes to court. That jury is going to, and that jury, they're going to paint a picture that says, they already knew he was dirty, and they still hired him. And companies are scared to death to do that, Dave.
Yeah, it makes it a difficult situation. I don't know that we can see past some of our past. Like if you were drinking at 18 or 19 or 20 or 21, and then 25 years later, and you weren't drinking in an accident, do you still look back at that 25 years ago and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It is a difficult decision, and it is
this isn't a 25-year thing right now. I do think that we just stick to what this is right now, meaning that it's fairly new, right?
Right. Now, the clearinghouse is new.
How do you hire somebody that's done what they can in the clearinghouse?
I
don't know how you do that.
I don't either.
And it's something you've got to be aware of. You may have made that mistake in that big truck, but that's the place you can't make the mistakes at. Because this industry, the insurance around it, we've had Atria again. We'll bring them up, Rebecca, and that group. They just did another study on the insurance and what trucking companies see on that. Let me tell you, we see an increasing rise on the insurance premium because of these accidents, because of these juries, because of the lawsuits that happen with it. The jury more than ever looks at the hiring practice, and if you know that he has sinned, why would you hire him? And it maybe it's not fair, but that's what's happening.
Yeah, it is what's happening. And I look back on it and I look at the clearinghouse, and I think it's actually a great thing in what they're doing, and in making sure that everybody knows.
And everybody does know.
Yeah, and everybody knows exactly the information, because you don't want a person to be able to bounce around job to job to job and continue to do that without some kind of check and balance, right? You agree to that?
Agree.
I mean, and I agree that it needs to be done, and that's a great point on how good is it doing. But when you bring up insurance premiums, and I read the same article, how interesting is it that because of the insurance premiums, it makes people have new strategies within their company on how they're going to spend money.
Oh, yeah.
Whether it be on people in the
pay reductions. Yeah, we saw it, right? We've seen pay reduction. We've seen not getting new equipment. Continue to run that older equipment because
unsafe
of the
equipment.
Yeah, it is. And the smaller the company, the higher the premium
per mile.
Yeah, on a per mile thing, which is what we grade ourselves in this industry, right?
Right.
On a per mile basis. So these smaller companies, and we see it right now, a smaller trucking company today, if you decide to go out and open your own trucking company today, there's a great chance that your premiums will be somewhere in that $16,000 to $22,000 a year for that one truck.
Right.
A larger company, the Swiss, they're all self-insured. If you go back and kind of do the same cost, it's probably $2,500 or $3,000.
Wow.
Probably $2,500, I'll say.
Significantly different.
Yeah, and how are you going to compete with them on that? So that's what we see. And so what happens is that the independent contractor, the small trucking company, well, they don't upgrade their equipment.
Right.
And think about that, what happens on that, because you can't afford it, because now you got to put these huge down payments down for your insurance. And if you're not continuing to focus on your safety, your premiums continue to go up.
Right.
Even companies that said drive safe, Dave, in the last, from 2018 to 2020, that were pretty good at safety, still saw rate increases.
Yeah, and when you talk about that, and when you don't reinvest in your equipment, and you don't get better equipment, and then you go through the scale houses and you get hit or dinged or popped or whatever you want to call it, it raises your score. and therefore it's going to do what? Raise your
sure.
raise your insurance.
And when your equipment's older and you're not focused on safety, Dave, you're not talking to if you the drivers out there that aren't getting fed from your company on the insurance side, on the safety side of the business, well, odds are the company it's also not as safe as it could be.
Correct.
And when you get into those accidents, guess what? Rates are going to go up.
Correct.
You've got to continue to do your part. And when you drive, and we talk about these weather here, Dave, I mean, come on, guys, listen. We're telling you what the weather's like right now. If you're driving in this area right now, don't. It's time to pull over because it's not worth it. We know what's look. We can tell you what it looks like right now, Dave. And when you're driving in those areas that are bad and you just get a jackknife and nobody else is involved, guess what? That's a lot of money. If you just jackknife, Dave, odds are the truck or the trailer is going to be hurt. Right? I'm not even talking about the driver here.
No. I just jackknife. There's like 5 horrible scenarios in just a jackknife. Number one, if you do it on a roadway and you have to be towed, then you're now that's considered a DOT. That can be considered a DOT accident. That can also be considered reckless driving because you weren't driving where you needed or how you needed to drive. I mean, there's
reckless driving. Let's hit that. When you get a reckless driver as a driver at many companies, what happens?
You're done.
You're done. Why?
The insurance won't cover you. I mean, you're disqualified. You're disqualified.
Yeah, they won't do it. And you're taking life, your own life, the equipment, and that equipment, Dave, when it goes down, there's a lot of cost. You have to tow it out, right?
Absolutely.
You may have to take that driver to the hospital.
And you have to repair the vehicle.
Repair it.
Downtime.
And get less. If that truck's not running, you're not making any money either, right?
And let's talk about really what at any time, in any accident, the potential for loss of life has increased exponentially. Any accident. And I don't mean... it doesn't matter what kind of accident we're talking about. Any accident increases the potential for a loss. If you don't have an accident, your potential for loss of life is almost nil. But if you have an accident, and Rick, any accident, it doesn't matter how small, how big, any accident increases the potential for a loss of life or hurting somebody, and therein lies the problem.
Your thirst, your desire to be a safe driver, listen, it does, a lot of that does lie on the back of the company you work for. I'm going to tell you that.
Agreed.
But you still are the captain of your ship.
100%.
You still own that truck. You are that business owner. You're that driver that's in charge of that unit. You ultimately can make that decision. And if that company doesn't back you, if that company says, you know what, run anyway, that load's hot, I'm going to tell you, like I've said it many times, you're at the wrong company. There's a lot of great companies out there that care about safety.
Agreed.
Dave, we're going to be in Vegas at the TCA, and we're going to talk to a lot of companies out there that have that focus on safety.
Agreed.
And if that company you're at right now isn't that company, if their safety scores don't show it, if they're encouraging you to unplug that log, get as many miles, if you're the best driver because you're the driver that gets the most miles, let me tell you something, there's something wrong with that. The best driver, Dave, is a safe driver.
Absolutely.
It's a safe driver. And safe drivers can get miles, too.
Of course they can.
You're not abusing it. You're not cheating. You're not running illegal. You're focused on the safety because your life matters. My kids' lives matter.
Mine.
Other people out there, their lives matter, too. And we want to make sure that we are getting you and them home safe to their families. That's what we talk about at BCB Live. It's to be safe, communicate, and if you can, this is what we preach, to be safe, to communicate, to talk to each other, to talk to us. Let us know, talk to your family. All of us, we talk to you, let you know what's going on up here. And then if you can, and it's all the way down there, if you can, it's like ... be on time. Everything else must happen first.
Correct.
It's what we do. It's what you do. It's what our industry must get better at and continue to be at. We can't control the four-wheelers, but we can control what we do.
We have an opportunity to change the industry one person at a time, and it doesn't matter which person you are in this industry. Owner, CSR, customer service representative, dispatcher, driver, shipper, receiver, we have an opportunity to change this industry forever. and it starts right now.
It starts right now, and it starts with that phrase that pays. And Drive Safe Dave, what is that phrase that pays?
I'll tell you what, that phrase that pays is a doozy this week, but here it goes. I'll see if I can do it. We give you a phrase and make it pay so you can put safety in your mind and make it stay.
We'll be back in 60 seconds with Dale Kellen. BCB Live, we're talking road conditions, we're talking, specific cities, traffic patterns, we're talking safety. Only here at BCB Live,
The safest station in the nation.
Good morning and welcome to BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. You got Double Check Dale doing the safety portion of the show. We're going to talk about some traffic, some weather, some safety. So thanks for joining in this morning. Let's jump right into the traffic. And we're going to start in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Folks, if you are north of I-30 this morning in the Fort Worth area, expect delays. There are a lot of accidents up in that area due to some freezing rain and icing that we've been talking about. And so 35W, both directions from downtown all the way up to the 114, you're going to see delays and accidents, 81 delays and accidents. Over in White Settlement on 820, 30, and 20, where they split out west of Fort Worth, major tie-ups and delays and accidents. The Bedford, North Richland Hills area, up on 183, 820 area, delays in traffic there. You come over to the Dallas side, 35E looks pretty good, but that Sam Rayburn Tollway coming down through Carrollton and Farmers Branch, you see some delays there. 635 out in the Capel area, delays and heavy traffic there. 114 between 183 and 30, the northbound lanes really slow this morning. 635 over on the northeast side of town up in the Garland area. Major delays both directions there. We have some traffic going on. 75 coming in from the north. And that, again, there, folks, that's where the areas where we've seen that freezing rain and ice coming on. So a lot of delays. Out east of town on 30 in the Rockwell area, 80 before the 635 split, and 20 right in the Balch Springs area. A lot of traffic and slowdown. So what I'm trying to tell you is there is a lot of heavy traffic this morning. There are a lot of accidents out there due to the weather, the freezing rain and ice. So remember, overpasses and elevated roads freeze first. So let's really make sure you slow it down and remember to increase your space, because just because you can go doesn't mean you can stop. So increase that space, slow it down. Houston. Lots of heavy traffic going into Houston, coming out of Houston and downtown area. 10 all the way from 99 into the 290 loop. The WP tollway all the way into the 290 loop. Both have heavy traffic, both directions. 49 from the south coming in, Sugarland, Meadows Place area. You'll see some slowdowns there. 45 coming in from the south, some slowdowns starting at the Sam Houston tollway. 69 from the north, heavy traffic coming into town, and 45 coming in from the north, heavy traffic. 10 out in the Channel View area, looks like you have some slowdowns and delays there. So Houston, a lot heavier traffic, a lot more delays and slowdowns than normal this morning. So just pack your patience, slow it down, increase your space between you and the vehicle in front of you. Going to Kansas City. Kansas City looks really good this morning. For the most part, it usually does. A little bit of a slowdown on the eastbound lanes going into downtown Kansas City on I-70. Other than that, nothing to talk about in Kansas City. Enjoy your commute. Chicago, coming in from the west, 90, 88. 80 all looks good. Coming in from the south, 57 and 55 look good. From the north, all roads coming in look good. Where you start to see the traffic concerns is once you get inside that 294 loop, heading toward that downtown area. And so you'll see heavy traffic on all major roads going into the downtown area once you get inside that 294 loop. South of downtown Chicago, where 57 and 94 split, you're going to see some delays and some heavy traffic there. So if you're in that area, pack your patience. You're going to need it because lots of traffic there. Out on the Indiana side, 80, 94, and 90 all look really good this morning. Ooh, Atlanta, my goodness. 20 coming in from the east before you get to that 285 split, or coming in from the west on 20 in Atlanta before you get to that 285 merge point. Very heavy traffic starting out there around the Highway 6 area. 285 north around the north side of the city. That loop has heavy traffic all the way around from where it merges with 20 on the west side to where it merges with 20 on the east side. So Atlanta, this is as bad as I've seen the 285 north side of the loop in a very long time. Expect some major delays there. Pack your patience. You're definitely going to need it if you're on the 285 bypass in Atlanta on the north side. South side 285 loop looks really pretty good. So if you have an option, take that loop around the south side of the city and you'll save yourself an awful lot of time this morning. 20 going out to the east looks pretty decent. And the roads going south, 675, 85 all look pretty good south of Atlanta. Nashville area, 40 from the west coming in. Out in the West Mead area, you're going to have some slowdowns and tie-ups there going towards Nashville, heading east. The downtown area of Nashville, East Nashville, the south side of that inner loop is where you see the traffic concerns there, 2440 where they split. Lots of heavy traffic there going out of town. 24 coming in from the south starts the backup all the way down in the Stone Ridge area. So 24 going in Stone Ridge all the way to where it hits 155, the Briley Parkway. You're going to see a lot of slowdowns, delays, backups, and so that's one where you're going to have to really practice your patience because you're going to need it there. 40 going east out of town looks pretty decent this morning. Washington, D.C., 66 coming in. If you're out on the west side of town, looks around the Centerville areas where you're going to see some traffic tie-ups and slowdowns, and that's going to be on the eastbound side. When you get to the 495 loop to the south in the Annandale area, both directions, Kings Park, some slowdowns and back up there. If you're taking 495 around the north side of Washington, D.C., it's up in that Silver Springs area, Beltsville area, Greenbelt, where you're going to see the slowdowns and the tie-ups. So pack your patience up in that area. And then again, over on the east side, in the Mitchellville area, Forestville area on that 95 outer loop, you will see some very heavy traffic in those directions. As you're heading up towards Baltimore, it looks pretty good until you get to the right south of Baltimore on 95 or 295 in that Hanover area. Very heavy traffic in the Hanover area on both major roads there. The 695 loop around Baltimore from the merge point on 70 on the west side of town, Woodlawn area, all the way up to Lutherville. You have very heavy traffic, and that is in both sides, both lanes, both north and southbound. Once you get past that, you look pretty good until you get over into the Hampton area on 695, and there you're going to see some slowdowns there. 95 in the downtown area or inside that loop in the Dundalk area of Baltimore, you're going to see some slowdowns there. Philadelphia, 76 coming in from the King of Prussia all the way into the downtown area. You have very slow and very heavy traffic this morning. 476 out in the Springfield, Marple Township, Lawrence Park area. Very, very heavy traffic. Expect some delays and slowdowns there this morning. If you're coming in south from 95, actually looks pretty decent. The downtown area, Philadelphia, of course, 76, major traffic there. The south loop on 76 looks pretty decent though. 95 going north in the Tioga Park area, you're going to see some heavy traffic coming on the southbound lanes. Jumping over to the Jersey side, the Mount Ephraim, Bellamar area, you will see some slowdowns and some tie-ups there, but nothing is real major. Going north on the New Jersey Turnpike and 295 looks pretty decent this morning. Indianapolis, coming in on all the major roads from the west, 70, 74, 65 from the north, all look pretty decent. You get to that 465 loop, it looks like you're going to have a slowdown up in that northwest manor. That's where 465 and 865 merge. So that merge point is causing some slowdowns. Spring Hollow on the 465 outer loop up in Indianapolis, you got some slowdowns there. And then on 465 out on the east side of town in the Lawrence area, Fairwood Hills area, both directions, it's around that 69 merge point is where you see some heavy traffic and backups both ways. And then if you're on 74 on the south side of town, down in that University Heights area, expect some slowdowns on the westbound lanes there. Other than that, if you're going out east of town on 70 or 74, they look really good. 69 from the north looks very good this morning. And with that, we will jump into some weather. Lots of weather going on this morning, folks, and we'll jump right into it. Right now, like I said, the major concern we're going to talk about, we're going to focus on precipitation this morning, or this morning's show. And the precipitation is purple is freezing rain, and we have a large chunk of freezing rain just about from out into the Panhandle through all of central Texas, catching Dallas, Fort Worth on the north and west side of town, working its way up into Oklahoma City. And as we move this forward throughout the day, it just seems to explode and expand. By noon today, 1 o'clock today, it's all the way from central Texas up into Oklahoma City, Arkansas, southern Arkansas. And this is at 5 p.m., so we're catching all the way through central Texas, north side of Dallas, Fort Worth area, Oklahoma, the southeast corner, northern Arkansas, southern Missouri. So that I-44 route up there is definitely going to be affected. It looks like it's clearing out a little bit as you go into the overnight, shifting a little bit. Oklahoma City is going to see freezing rain overnight, and it heads out of Texas for a little bit. But by tomorrow morning, you get back into 6 a.m., we have that same band of freezing rain from central Texas all the way up through Oklahoma, Oklahoma City, northern Arkansas, southern Missouri, and now it's reaching all the way up into the Cincinnati area, northern Kentucky, and southern Ohio. So lots of freezing rain. We do have some snow to the north of that, not as large a snow band as last week or 2 weeks ago. And on the south side and east side of the freezing rain, we have a lot of rain and thunderstorms going on.
DFW going to be coming no-go zone?
I'm sorry?
DFW going to be a no-go zone?
It will be a no-go shortly, yes. To the north and west of Fort Worth, we are shutting down right now. Anything north of I-30, west of Fort Worth, we are shutting down. That is where there's some freezing rains. We've got some reports out there that the roads are deteriorating. When we looked at traffic this morning, you could see that the roads were definitely getting bad up there. Great question. To the south of Dallas and Fort Worth on 30, we do have a 55-mile-an-hour restriction on. We're going to meet again at 9 o'clock and take a look at it 9:30 and take a look at it again so we can look at some cameras, get some more real-time stuff, and reevaluate where our no-go zones and our geofences need to be. Great question. Appreciate that. So let's kick it all the way to Friday. By Friday, the storm seems to be kicking out. The freezing rain seems to be kicked out of the lower central United States. But now it's up into Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania on Friday just gets hammered with freezing rain, just about the whole state. And that moves into New Jersey, New York, southern Massachusetts. So we'll have to definitely keep an eye on that there. I want to take a quick look at the winds just to see if we have anything major going on there. Right now the winds don't look too bad, and I don't think we see anything major going on with the winds. We do have some right there. Let's go back. If we do have winds, Arizona, northern Arizona, and then that western Oklahoma and part of the panhandle of Texas is seeing some winds. And then that West Virginia, Virginia line through the mountain areas, there are some winds going on there. So, remember this, with all the weather we have going on, freezing rain and ice, if you're in any of the areas that are predicted, remember that the overpasses and bridges freeze first. Slow down, adjust your speed to it. If you're in a windy area, if the winds gust and don't feel comfortable, call your DM, talk it over, park it up if you don't feel comfortable. It's about safety. We want to make sure everybody arrives home and gets there safely. And so, you have to, if you don't feel comfortable, do that. Find, some good weather stations in your area. Look at the weather maps. Plan ahead. See where you're going and see what the weather's doing there. And with that, we'll take a short break.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to BCB Live on this Wednesday morning. Got a lot of weather going on out there, a lot of weather conditions, a lot of things happening we need to be aware of. You haven't noticed, have you, Dale?
Not hardly at all. Is the hair getting grayer, Dave?
Well, good news is that we're able to watch it and get that information out to you. So what are we talking about today? I knew we were talking about lane changing. Has that changed, and are we still talking about lane changes?
No, we're still going to talk about lane changes again today. And the thing we're going to talk about today is, again, a do's and a don't. The do is signal your intention. Use that turn signal. Use it 3 to 4 seconds before you make that lane change. It's about communication. That's what, good safety is all about, communication. And so use that turn signal before you make that lane change. Let people know. Communicate with people around you what's going on with it. One of the don'ts is don't do a last-second lane change or an exit. We see it all the time in videos where all of a sudden we decide we've got to make that exit. If you can't make that lane change, if you can't make that exit safely, go to the next one, turn around, or get yourself rerouted. It's not worth taking that last-second chance of missing somebody in your blind spot, cutting somebody off just to make that. I mean, the time we think we're saving is not worth the risk that you're taking by cutting traffic off or by shortchanging somebody in the lane alongside you, Dave.
Yeah, I'm glad you bring that up as we talk about lane changes. It's pretty interesting because that last second lane change that as you're changing the lane and you're using the indicator as you change, that's one of those think fast. Like when somebody throws something at you, hey, think fast. But really you want to do it at 5 to 6 seconds prior to the lane change. You want to do it 5 or 6 seconds prior to your lane change. That way, think fast. Yeah, I got you. and you want to do that 5 or 6 seconds prior to your lane change. It gives you an opportunity to be safer out there on the road and communicate. What you're doing is you're communicating.
Yeah. And if you don't do that, if there's cars around you or vehicles around you that are distracted, and if they're just distracted for that second, and you make that quick lane change, and they don't think fast because they're distracted, boom, bad things happen, accidents happen. And so, that's so important to communicate and not make those sudden lane changes.
All right. What about, we got some videos up for grabs, right, this morning?
I think we probably do have some videos. This one here, we start out really good. Driver's doing a nice job. Speed's not anything major, so had the great speed and space management there. Had to stop because traffic stopped. hey, just need to back off a little bit when we stop. At BCB, we like to see, pavement between the vehicle ahead of you and your truck when we have to come to a dead stop. A small vehicle like that looks in its mirror and all he sees is a grill. Makes a little anxiety, a little nervous. So just, stop a little bit further back, but you had great space to start the video. I think here's one where we're going to talk about that last minute exit. I think we're going to see that coming up here in just a little bit. And so right there we go, just boom, right over there. And you saw the brakes on that white pickup just a little bit because boom, they have to react fast. And so it's just so dangerous when we see that type of thing. And four-wheelers, we see it a little bit more than we do with the big trucks, but neither one of them is the safe thing to do. Neither one of them is the right thing to do. And in that case, it's not the legal thing because they crossed over a couple white lines, which is not legal. I like this one. The driver's coming up to a stoplight, and we have a flashing yellow light. He does a very nice job waiting for, and yielding the right of way on that flashing yellow. And my wife just hates the flashing yellow because so many people don't understand how they work. It's a yield where you have to yield the right of way, and then you can make that turn. But so many vehicles, it seems like, just, hey, I got a yellow arrow, it's my turn to go. That's not the case. And the driver in this one does a great job of noticing that and yielding the right of way, waiting it, not trying to get in there, not in a hurry to get across, make the oncoming traffic slow down or stop.
Yeah, I can't help but think that the yellow light in general for many vehicles, four-wheelers especially, they see that as I better go because it's going to turn red. And when they see that flashing yellow light, even at a turn signal, sometimes in their mind, it's just because they've done it forever, I better go before it turns red. That's not what it's about.
No, the blinking yellow arrow means it is an unprotected turn. That's what it means to you. You can go, but it is an unprotected turn as opposed to a solid green arrow, which means it is a protected turn. So when you see this, and the driver does a great job of recognizing that it is an unprotected turn and must yield to the right-of-way of the oncoming vehicle.
Unprotected, in other words, means you will get a ticket if you are in an accident in that intersection, okay? Make sure we understand that's the unprotected part. Next video.
Great distance here, nice speed, nice following here, and I think we're going to see traffic slow down, and we have time to react because of that space, because we've owned that distance. Had to go over there, had a little more time to brake and everything. Hate to see that quick lane change with it, especially with the great distance that the driver had. Just have to hit the brakes and hit them a little bit harder instead of getting over and jumping out to that lane, because if you do it, the person behind you may be following you over there. And as you brake, the person behind you may be trying to do the same thing. And so try to stay in your lane. Try not to, get into the quick lane change things, but great distance.
I watched this video, and there's a great following distance. There's great reaction. I truly believe that the driver moved over, accepted his secondary out. You want to control that space between you, but there is nothing here that is overly negative about what the driver has done. I truly believe the driver reacted well, didn't slam on the brakes, didn't lock it up, slowed down. Look, had plenty of time behind the vehicle in front of him, but offered himself a genuine way out here. I don't have anything really bad to say about the driver here.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I guess what we're hoping here is when you put your foot on the brakes in this video here, hopefully you didn't just pull to the right, right?
Yeah.
So that's another problem.
Well, as we look at this one, you got to realize it's a merge point also, and so you still have that possibility of on-merging traffic.
Yeah,
so to take that way. No, nothing negative. Like I said, driver had great following space, but it's just those little things. How is the safer way than safest way? Here we've adjusted the speed a little bit for the road and weather conditions. We got some pretty good following space right there. And so, that's good to see that, because, we are getting into, some weather patterns that are not real favorable. And so we just have to remember, have to slow down, have to increase that space, have to have more space to stop or slow down in. And so, by going slower, that just allows us more time to do it. We slow the chaos down by doing that. A little of the videos this morning, gentlemen.
Yeah, that was good. Drive safe, Dave. As we go, we're going to you here in a second. We've got to know we have a caller there. As hosts of BCB Live, sometimes we get folks that come in here, even our safety guys that come in, and we are the alpha. There's no doubt about it. We see Dale way down here. You know what?
They let the air out of my
the
seat,
kingdom
man.
of BCB Live, and your host of Drive Safe, Dave and Sir Rick. You must bow down to us, and that's the first step right here, sir.
I'm thinking
Are you
tomorrow.
comfortable down there?
Has he got a
Do you need
couch
a
down
booster?
there?
Do you need
My
a booster
goodness,
chair?
man, I thought-
Well, it's better than a 5-gallon bucket, guys. So, I appreciate that.
hey, who do we have on the call there?
All right, up first is Mr. Alan Arnold.
Hey, Mr. Allen, how are you doing today,
Alan.
sir?
What's going on, buddy?
Hey, good morning, y'all. Hey, wanted to bring up something about the lane changes. We've got 6 mirrors on the truck. You should check all 6 of them before you make a lane change, at least twice. All right? That gives plenty of time for your indicator because everybody's just not paying attention. It gives them time to see your blinkers, for one. The second thing is that video with all the bridges, that's, people don't think about it, but that's very dangerous, that shadowing. Because if you noticed, you had the shadow, then it was bright, then shadow and bright. You can lose a car quickly in all of that. Right here, yeah. You can lose a car in all that, you know? And I'm not saying that anybody did anything wrong. I'm just saying you can lose one real quick if you're not paying attention. And Mr. Dale and I had a conversation yesterday about a split second of taking your eyes off the road. And it scared me bad. I'm just going to be honest with you. It scared me bad. That was the second accident yesterday I seen within, I don't know, 3-4 hours. And you start seeing that, it starts making you think, how much more, you know, can I take out here on this road before that's me that's in that accident.
Yeah, Alan, I think, and you know what, and that's where you've got to make sure that you and we in this industry continue to try to eliminate as many of those distractions as we can. Distractions they're not just a cell phone, it's just, you know, it's the mindset, it's the road conditions, it's all of these things that we have, and we've got to just continue to try to do the best we can all the time. And I think part of that, Alan and Dave, and Dale, give your opinion on this, is also recognizing when you're not at your top of your game. And when you're not at the top of your game, you've got to take some additional action. And that may mean slowing down even more.
Yeah, giving yourself a little bit of space. And Rick, it might even mean stopping for a minute. It might even mean pulling over.
Even if you have a full book,
yeah, even if you have a full book,
but
it might
it's 85 degrees out.
But you might need that. You might need that hot
That
dog
load
and
is
that
hot.
Pepsi.
The load's hot.
It doesn't matter. Safety's first.
Safety's first. I mean, you know, in taking that break, you may have to replan your trip. You know, things may have changed through it, and so it changes. You have to may look at that and at the big picture and see, hey, how do I want to get there? How can I get there safely? And if I can't get there safely, if I can't get there on time, communicate that with, you know, somebody. Let them know that, hey, I'm being delayed or this is going on, and changes can be made.
Yeah, and Alan said it though, and he's absolutely right. It only takes a split second, for something major to happen. Producer, who do you have?
All right, David Mason.
Top of the morning, Mr. Mason.
Good morning, guys. I just had a quick question about the go or no go. I'm sitting at Flying J, North Oklahoma City here. Dropped at Nestle. I got to go to Clinton, which is west of Oklahoma City on 40. My hours are good right now. I just got them back. It's 98 miles empty to go pick my load up and head west to Nevada.
You're in Oklahoma City currently?
Yes, I'm in Oklahoma City. I got to go west on 40.
Currently, Oklahoma City is in that no-go zone. We were talking to Amber up there this morning. She said they are seeing the freezing rain. The roads are icing. And so currently, it is a no-go zone. You know, we're going to get together this morning at 9:30. We're going to review what we have in place. I plan on coming back on the air at 10 o'clock to update everybody with what we've seen, what we're looking at, and kind of just share what's going on with that.
Perfect. So David, it's a no-go zone right now. If you're in Oklahoma City, You're in that Oklahoma, even I think north of Dallas area is probably in the no-go zone right now. Let's see what happens at 9:30. We're not going to go very far right now. 9:30, the Dale and his team will meet again together, and we're going to be back online. When that inclement weather happens, that's when we at BCB Live, we communicate even more. We want to make sure that we are all in the know on what's going on. We got one more call, producer.
We do. Lonnie Payne.
Mr. Payne, top of the morning to you, sir.
What's up, Lonnie?
Good morning, gentlemen. How's everyone?
You know what? I'm doing well, Mr. Lonnie. How about yourself?
Blessed, brother, blessed. Listen, on the lane change topic, something that's worked well and served me well for many years is when I go to make a lane change, not only letting your signal blink for multiple times before you even start the move, but once I reach the center line, I hold it there for a couple of seconds, and also I reduce my speed if it's nothing more than just letting off of the accelerator, just enough, and then double check everything again. That way, if there's somebody trying to pull a slingshot move on you, or if there was somebody that you missed in your mirrors, that gives them the opportunity to shoot out of there. And you can't imagine how many times, that all of a sudden, bam, somebody just goes flying by you or something, and that just gives them that opportunity to get out of there, whether you've missed them or they missed you, whatever the case may be. As Dale and Bob and everybody says, it's about preventability, not who's the right or wrong. So that's just a deal that has served me well. Also, I know we're getting new people all the time, boss, and I just wanted to speak to them for a second with these weather conditions that we're having and these weather events. Don't be afraid to communicate and make that call, because we're not like other companies, that force you to do things that are unsafe. And I mean that coming from one of the drivers. Sometimes it takes another driver speaking to a driver.
Good point.
Sometimes they hear the boss talking about, yeah, we don't want you to do this. We're not going to force you to do this. Wink, wink. But, when they hear it from another driver, they know it's coming from the straight that, this is a real deal. And they're also, when you hire in at a new company, you want to make a show, and you want to, you want to be known as somebody that can get it done. But I just want to speak to them and let them know that this is real. The safety culture that we have is by far, above what any other place you've ever been. If you find yourself in a condition that has deteriorated and you don't feel safe to continue, make that call, communicate. Nobody's going to look down on you. Nobody's going to force you to go, and I just think they need to hear that sometimes from somebody that's already out here in the field. That's all.
Hey, Lonnie,
have a blessed day. Love you. #family.
Hey, love you too, Lonnie. Hey, don't go anywhere else for a second. Hey, Lonnie, I want to make sure that everybody knows who you are as well. Hey, Lonnie, you got 2,000 or 3,000 miles of safe driving under your belt, right?
2,000 or 3,000, right?
Yep, got a few.
Hey, Lonnie, how many million miles you got under your belt accident-free?
I think Scott ran it the other day. I'm about probably right now 49, maybe 48,000 from my 3 million mark.
And let me tell you something. When you hear this from a somebody that's approaching that 3 million mile mark, you've got to stop and listen. We celebrate folks like Lonnie and in our industry. We see the guys at Walmart. There's another driver for I think Pam or something that just celebrated like 2 million miles. We see those. We celebrate that because it's incredible what you've done out there, and we want to applaud you for what you've done, for making safety part of your culture, Lonnie, and for sharing that with these other drivers as well. It is folks like you million miles and more driver. It is on you as well to make sure that we're bringing in this younger group, these 3/4 million, these drivers that only maybe have 3,000 miles under their belt to get them to run safe. So, Lonnie, I applaud you for that, and thank you for all that you've done for this industry.
I appreciate it, boss. And I tell you, you were talking this morning about the guys that got the most miles, and you can still be a top performer. It's all about, being safe, doing it the right way, and being efficient with everything that you do. The efficiencies is coupled with the safety is what gets you there. You can still run the miles. People that say, well, if I do this and I'm, I reduce my speed a few miles or whatever, then it's going to hurt me in the paycheck. And no, it won't. Trust me.
For sure.
You can still be a top performer and get it done and still make a good living for your family and be safe. I do it every day, and I know we got a bunch more that do it too.
Appreciate what you do. Stay safe out there. Folks, this has been a great show. And again, it's what we do. We're going to be back on at 10 o'clock talking some more safety, talking about some road conditions. Make sure that you check with your dispatch, you check with your driver manager, you check your weather apps. You have all of these things available to make sure that you are setting yourself up to be successful. And successful means safe. Make sure we do that part, okay? Our dear Heavenly Father, we thank you again for this day you've given us. We ask you special prayer as we hit this inclement weather that you keep all drivers safe out there on that road. And Lord, you be with these truck drivers that they continue to be the heroes that they are, that you keep them safe and get them back home to their families. We thank you for all that you do, all that you are, and for always blessing us. Give us that wisdom and that courage, Lord, just to do the right thing. Man, it's so much easier said than done, and we just ask you and we plead for your help to make that happen. In your son's name we pray. Amen. Everybody stay safe. 9 or 10 o'clock, BCB Live will be back on the air with some more weather updates and traffic updates. Only on here. It's at BCB Live.
The safest station in the nation.
Bam. Thank you.